Do you want to know the damage that Anthony Joshua caused to Jake Paul? Well, follow this video. Brand new ego injury report. I will give you guys the complete update. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Come in, enjoy this video. Ego injury report to let you know what happened. Last night, Jake Paul took his second loss at the hands of Anthony Joshua. Congratulations to Anthony Joshua. Now, I made a previous video. You guys should check that out. But to recap, Joshua broke Jake Paul's jaw in two places, right? As he has highlighted right here. This one doesn't look as bad, but this one looks really bad, right? And Jake Paul says, double broken jaw, give me Canelo in 10 days. Obviously being facetious because how are you going to fight with a broken jaw? You know, you got to heal from it. So clearly he's trolling or whatever. But this is a serious matter. Now he has already completed surgery, which I will show you now. You see him in the hospital bed. Look like he woke up from being sedated, right? And he got the thumbs up. Caption reads, surgery went well. Thanks for all the love and support. I have 2 titanium plates on each side and some of my teeth removed. Have to have only liquids for a week. So I can't have, and this is the hot dog company he's associated with. Conor McGregor says, fair play, well done. I mean, to me, it's not really well done. This is a serious injury. You know what I mean? I don't know why people are, I'll talk about that in a second, but to me, this is weird, right? He says, great experience. I love this sport. Time to rest, recover, return to cruiserweight. Who do you want to see me fight next? Right? And his pictures of him in Joshua. All right? And that shot looks crazy. That shot looks crazy. Boom. So, came out with the Hulkamania outfit and got packed up by the Brit. Bloody mouth, spitting blood, broken jaw. This is the best punch he landed on Joshua. And you knew it was going to be a problem when he landed that punch. And Joshua kept plodding forward. There was no real serious reaction from Anthony Joshua when Jake Paul planted feet, landed, and that's a punch that these other dudes he has been fighting, they might have got knocked out from, right? Look, he's spitting blood up. But these other fighters that he was fighting, like MMA fighters and older people or whatever, they were getting knocked out by it. But Joshua, having been punched by Klitschko and like lifelong boxers, didn't seem to have enough effect on him. So here's Jake Paul in bed, road to recovery. Again, now let's talk about my thoughts. The whole fight was pretty stupid. Now, did it attract attention? Absolutely. The fighters made some good money. Absolutely. But risking your health and potential permanent damage for money is not the way to go, right? And like I said, with Kell Brook, it reminds me of Kell Brook. People wanted Kell Brook to step up in terms of class, so he stepped up by fighting Triple G. Nobody asked you to fight at middleweight. They just wanted to see you fight top welterweights, right? Give Errol Spence a chance at the time, right? But now you did what you did, and you get, like, punched up by Anthony Joshua, and now you got titanium plates and a broken jaw. Who knows if your career will ever be the same? You know what I mean? Anytime any athlete gets injured, you don't really know. And here's what we're not going to do. Now, I've been covering boxing over 15 years. Every single day. I tend to know what I'm talking about. I give respect to everybody that laces them up because it's a tough way to make your coin. But here's what I'm noticing. There's some people they're suggesting that Jake Paul should be given like almost additional credit for going in against a massive, oversized, really big, powerful Olympian in Anthony Joshua. But that's what we're not going to do. And I'll explain why. The thing I notice with some of these influencers is this. They want to live in both worlds at times like this, at least. Let me explain. When Jake Paul is fighting kind of older Mike Tysons or undersized MMA fighters, Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, Mike Perry, guys like that, right? People complained about some of those fights. When are you going to fight a real boxer? When are you going to fight a real boxer? Then you fought Tommy Fury, you lost. Then you went back to, fights that you picked or whatever. Julio Cesar Chavez at cruiserweight. He's not really a cruiserweight. He's not really an active guy, not a disciplined guy, and so on and so forth. So people got back to, when you're going to fight a real boxer? When you're going to fight a real boxer? You're going to fight Tank. He had legal issues that needed to tend to, so you bailed on that fight. And then Netflix probably wanted a big fight, so the pressure was on for you to have like maybe a significant fight, premium opponent. And some reason you landed on Joshua, which it didn't make sense to me, And people are now saying, oh, we got to give him a lot of credit. He gets the standard amount of credit that anyone gets for lacing them up, because these influencers like Jake Paul, they spend all the time arguing, saying, I have real fight camps. I've done this for boxing. I'm a real boxer. I've been 5-6 years deep into dedicating my life to this. So now when it doesn't work out for you, we can't find a nice soft spot for you to land because it didn't play out. And then now people are saying stuff like, oh, he did really good for a YouTuber. But he said he's not a YouTuber. He said, I'm much more than that. I'm an entrepreneur. I box. I started with YouTube, and so on and so forth. So these influencers, a lot of them want the credibility of, I'm a real fighter, except for at times like this when you lose, right? Then it's like we're supposed to cater and change our commentary. You've already told us you're a real boxer. You have a box rec. You have a boxing gym. You have signed fighters. You're a boxer. So I'm not reducing my commentary or softening and dumbing down my commentary because Jake Paul lost. Nobody told you to fight Anthony Joshua except for Netflix, maybe. You stepped up. You tried it, and now you have a broken jaw. No more, no less. Right? Boom, big shot, Joshua. So at the end, look, and to be honest, people are like, oh, we got to give, look, he looking at the clock. People are like, you got to give so much credit. He's so brave, but cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Whatever Netflix allegedly was paying you, some people were saying it was like $90 million, $50 million, whatever. There's a lot of people who, despite being at a disadvantage or the fact that they will get cooked, for $90 million, you could have people run through lanes of traffic. You have people trying to dodge bullets or fight Joshua or Mike Tyson or whatever for that type of money. So I don't really feel like this is so smart and ingenious like some of you guys are now making it seem like, right? For $90 million, there are people that will do probably heinous things for the 90 mil, because I've heard stories about people who have put contracts on people's head and the payout was way less. Do you see what I'm saying? So imagine being in a boxing ring even if you feel overmatched, you know you're going to get $90 million. I don't think the fighter should be playing with their health like that. You know what I mean? I don't. Joshua is too big. He's too strong. And now he broke you up. And then it just looked weird. Like, look, he getting punched on the ground, flying into the ropes. You had Jake Paul spilling around, shooting for takedowns like his MMA. And it all led and culminated with you look exhausted, you look out of sorts, and then now you have a broken jaw. And it looked like you rolled your ankle, which is what's happening here. Look, just a weird boom. Weird. So, again, these fighters want to be legitimized as true fighters, real fighters, put some respect on my name. You can't bail out when it don't work out for you and say, hey, but I'm really an actor. Hey, I'm really an entertainer. Hey, no, really, I'm an influencer. You told the world for several years, like Dean the Great just lost. You told people you were a boxer. So now that Vargas beat you, you got to take that on the chin. And Jake Paul, to his credit, he didn't really make these excuses, but I'm talking about the fans, people who are fans. And to be honest, Netflix and a lot of the powers that be, they're not taking the punches. You got people in suits that got millions of dollars that kind of control the media, and they're going to get somebody hurt. They're going to get somebody hurt for real, because you got boxing is just not for play. This is not a movie. This is not choreographed. You could really seriously get hurt in the sport of boxing, point blank, period. So I'm not going to glorify, oh man, broken jaw is cool. I don't think having a broken jaw is cool. If you can ask anyone on the side of the street, go up and down the sidewalk with a microphone, you want me to break your jaw, yes or no? Ain't nobody gonna say yes, please break my jaw. And again, what does this give Jake Paul? Clout? Because you stepped in foot, you were crazy and you stepped foot. I don't really call that crazy. Like I said before, it's not crazy to me that you're gonna get $50 million and you would do something insane for the $50 million bag, right? It just becomes foolish. So I don't know. I don't really know where Jake Paul goes from here, because you lost to two British fighters. You lost to the two more active, and Joshua was coming off a loss and a 15-month layoff. So he wasn't really, in my opinion, active. So imagine if you fought someone like Artur Beterbiev, right? A menacing puncher who fought earlier this year in February, right? These fights would be catastrophic. Or Tank Davis, who just fought, even though he's much smaller and shorter, these would be insanely dangerous fights. And then now, Jake Paul, this was like a reality check almost. Titanium plates and screws all in your jaw, rest and recovery. Hope it was worth it. But now he's talking about going back down to cruiserweight. I just feel like people are selling out for the bag, and there's multiple. You've already won at life if you're a Jake Paul, in terms of you're a multimillionaire, right? So you can kind of build from that. But who wants to have all this money, but then they don't have their faculties, or they have CTE, or they're slurring their words? You know what I mean? And I told you that from the beginning. Joshua was way too big. The only reason I wanted to see this fight is because Jake Paul was selling it and acting weird. And in those cases, you always got to watch just to see, does this person have a trick up their sleeve? Is there something he knows about Joshua? Is it fixed? That's what people are saying. People are saying it's going to be fixed and rigged. So, yeah, I just like everybody else tapped in to watch it to see if there was this big reveal and secret reveal that we were supposed to be overlooking. Why is he acting like this is a momentous occasion? Why is he acting like he's not about to fight a 6'6" Olympic puncher, right? So I thought there was going to be this big, he's developed crazy, and Joshua, I don't know. I didn't know what the weight stipulations were, but once I watched the fight, it was apparent that either you did all this stuff to sell the fight and get the bag and put your health at risk, but it didn't really look like there was a game plan. Like even Jake Paul's corner, more or less, it sounded like they were just telling him to evade Joshua, you know? So for me, it seemed like the game plan was to survive. You're not going to win a boxing match the way Jake Paul was fighting. You got this big behemoth trying to lock you down, and you're just running around and taking knees and ankle rolling and scrambling. Like you're doing football routes. You're not really boxing at that point. So I don't know. It really seemed like Jake Paul almost sold out. Like, I'm willing to have another L, but this will give me credibility. I think ultimately maybe he was just like, I don't want to get knocked out, right? As long as I don't get knocked out. But then now you got knocked out and a broken jaw in multiple places. So I don't really see the point of the fight, especially for Netflix. All right, cool. You paid out $100 million, $120 million for this fight. The card was horrible. The main event was not good. It didn't really help Joshua. It didn't really. Does that mean he could beat Usyk in a rematch because he beat a former YouTuber? Right? Jake Paul has MVP in this whole brand. His profile, they're making people making memes about him, right? You got all these fighters underneath you signed to you, and you're getting your jaw broken and you're out for months recovering. So I don't really see what the win is for here. Like, especially for a business like Netflix. Again, I guess they don't need boxing, so maybe they don't care. But you're now at a point where do you take Jake Paul? Where do you build him? Two boxers that you fought that were halfway competent or halfway in prime, even though we know Joshua's not in prime, even though we know Tommy Fury is really not that good, and you lost both of them. Even if you make a run for it at cruiserweight is a stale division, and same problem. You got lifelong boxers. It's going to be hard to bridge the gap, and to try to do it now with a broken jaw once it's healed, your jaw may never be the same. So to me, I believe in making money, taking care of your family, and, you know, trying to set goals. I want to be a billionaire. But a lot of these influencers, they're putting themselves in harm's way for the bag. Like, I'm going to do a crude prank and then somebody pulled a blick out on me, but I need these views. And I guess that's where society has come to. So I'm not as impressed. I'm not going to give whatever credit that some of you guys are giving. Jake Paul wanted to identify as a boxer. He dedicated his life to boxing. He fought a boxer. For the first time, he fought someone that was significantly bigger than you and got cooked. No more, no less. So if you want to be a boxer, then I got to give you boxing commentary, right? Because a boxer is Terrence Crawford. He's a great one, right? He just moved up practically 3 weight classes to fight Canelo. So he too was fighting a bigger man, but it didn't look like the Joshua fight, right? So I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of extra credit because your humble beginnings of being a Disney star and a YouTuber when this is everyday stuff for boxers. Crawford was at a max deficit, fought a puncher, fought a strong guy, fought a guy with more fights than him, and a guy that was bigger than him, and he cooked Canelo. Payday. You know, he did his thing with the bigger fighter. So I can't then look at Jake Paul and then grade his stuff on a curve when he's identified and said, I am a boxer, because he finally fought someone bigger. Because Jake Paul himself fought a bunch of guys and they were mad smaller than him. So now that the roles are reversed, Freaky Friday, and you're the smaller guy who's been saying I'm a boxer, now we're supposed to have this sympathy and be like, oh no, he was way too small. You were about to fight Gervonta Davis. He's way smaller than you. So people didn't have a problem with the size differential until the Caucasian boxer, Jake Paul, was at the deficit. When Gervonta, a black fighter from Baltimore, was at the weight deficit, undersized, shorter, comes from 130, 135 pounds, you didn't care that he had to fight somebody 90 pounds, 60 pounds bigger than him or whatever. When Mike Perry and Ben Askren and all these other Nate Robinsons were way smaller than Jake Paul, you didn't care. But now Jake Paul got to look up at somebody, and we're supposed to grade it differently because you got your jaw broke. I don't think that's the flex that you want in boxing. Yeah, I'm tough. I took a shot from a big puncher, but in turn I got my jaw broken. So that's the ego injury update and rant. I got to rant about this because I'm really boxing. I don't do this part-time. I'm not like an influencer who just started watching boxing like these streamers. You had DDG and Aiden Ross said they putting 30,000, 100,000, 200K on Jake Paul by knockout. And for me, I didn't really understand it outside of it being rigged or outside of there's some secret that Jake Paul knows that no one else knows. I didn't understand what his path to victory was supposed to be. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to watch it and see how it played out. And watching it, it wasn't a top tier fight. You got an injury that could stay with you. And it doesn't really do nothing to help Joshua. It doesn't mean he could beat the top Moses Atumas and Fabio Worley's and Daniel Dubois rematches because you beat Jake Paul. So I don't really see what the gain is. Netflix is finding these like circus type fights, get people in the room, and then people are kind of left like, what's next? It's not something you can build from. So that's the ego injury report. For more boxing news updates, I give it to you daily. Pause, and we out. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.